afternoon. Shalom. We will be continuing our study on the introduction of Shaar, HaBitachon, or Gate of Trust, in the classic work called Kovos Halivavos, or Duties of the Heart. So before we will be starting our lesson, sama sa atuang ginahimo matag simana ato sang ginadedicate ang zikot or merit sa atoang Torah study sa mga naay balatian karong panahon na ug doon na kita mga nailhan ato sang runaon ng ilang mga pangalan silang imuon tungdan sa atoang panag-estudyo ng kapuna. Ug sa itong mga kaugalingon, ato usad pong hangyo kang Hashem na unta, tagaan ta niya ug apri na kasing-kasing gunang-una aron dali na ito usabtan ang iyang mga pulong nga gitugyan sa atoang mga pagtutudlo, no? Mga rabay na ito. Ug kini mahimong instrumento aron kita mahimong magmalagpuson sa atong spiritual na mga tinguha o kalambuan. Okay, this is from the teachings of Rabbi Michael Skobach, to be presented to you by yours truly, Nagid of Binaynowak Congregation Philippines Incorporated of Noahide Nations. So this is again a continuation of the introduction, because last week na-introduce na to ning isa ka importante kayo nga ganing pagtulunan, no? This is called the Gate of Trust, or Shaar, HaBitachon. So the author, Rabbi Bakya Ibn Pakuda, expressed his belief that if a person is able to cultivate his trait of trusting in Hashem, it will lead to a more tranquil and peaceful inner life. So, ang atuang author, si Rabbi Bakya Ibn Pakuda, again, he is from Zaragoza, Spain. 1,000 years ago, almost, iyahan ni siyang gisulat. And he said that this learning will enable us to trust in Hashem, pagsalig, no? Sa ato ang pagkagagahom, aron hindi mahimong urang padunglan niini is a peaceful mind, no? Peaceful heart. Okay? Dili lang siya physical na kaning kalinaw, kundi pati sa ito ang kasing-kasing ng una-una. So, Rabbi Skobach wanted to begin today with a story about Rabbi Yitzchok Zev Soloveitchik. So, Rabbi Soloveitchik was born in 1866 and he passed away in 1959. So, he was known as the Brisker Rab. So, he's one of the leaders of the Hasidic movement. No? He belonged to a dynasty of great rabbis from Brisk in Lithuania. I think it's now called, tawag na siya karon og Belarus, no? Somewhere there, kadulong og Russia, og Ukraine. So when he got married, Rabbi Soloveitchik had a father-in-law na very wealthy. Dato kayo ang iyahang ugangan nga lalaki. o tumong niya sa iyang ugangan nga walay laing himuon si Rabbi Soloveitchik kung dili ang pagtuon lamang sa Torah. So, ang iyang ihatag no, sa iyang umagad kay Rabbi Soloveitchik was a entire block of real estate in Warsaw. Warsaw is somewhere in Poland, Europe. So, with this kind of gift, nagihatag niya sa iyahang umagad na rabbi, mura pod og nagbatod siya og isa ka block o isa ka street nga nadunay mga buildings, no? So, sa karong panahon na mura kag na nag-iya og mga building dito sa New York, sa US, Manhattan. Nana siya ka, nana ang value sa gihatag sa iyang ugangan ng lalaki as a gift. Okay? So, but the Brisker Rab, of course, dili siya gusto nga ang iyang panahon ma-focus dito sa pag-manage sa maong mga property. O mahurot ang iyong oras sa pagdumala, no? So, nag-hire siya o kaning manager to take care of the real estate. Then, World War I broke out. Of course, this was during the time of the war in Europe, Germany against the Allied forces, no? So, this is what we experience in life, no, sa itong kinabuhi, nga sometimes it is when we make good plans, himutang mga plano, pero naay mga kakulian nga mga mahitabo. So, ang gihimo ni Rabbi Soloveitchik is isibat siya, no? Ni palayo siya para malikay siya sa disgrasya. And when the war was when the war is over, pagkauman sa gira, nibalik siya sa katong iyahang propiedad dito sa Warsaw, sa Poland. Pero, hindi na niya makita yung manager na kanyang gi-hire para mag-manage sa kanyang properties. So what Rabbi Soloveitchik or Rabbi Soloveitchik did was he went to the Department of Records. Ito siya sa gobyerno, no? Subay niya ang record sa iyang propiedad. Ulit, nung nalaman niya na yung kanyang mga papeles pala tungkol sa kanyang mga ari-arian ay gi-forge yung mga kanyang pangalan, no? Para matransfer yung mga titulo sa pangalan doon sa mga anak ng manager na gi-hire niya. So the Brisker Rab was swindled, na scam siya, no? May common na to nga term. So, out of his property and he was left penniless. Wala na siya korta. Nahagbong din siya na zero. So, what he did is that he took his copy of the Cobos Halibamos, or Duties of the Heart, and he studied the 4th chapter, or 4th gate, 4th Shaar, called the Gate of Trust. 10 times until he knew it virtually by heart. And then he said the following. Yun siya, no? Antod karon gatuo ko, or naniniwala ako na ang mayaman na tao is yung nagmamay-ari ng isang bloke ng ari-arian, mga building doon sa Warsaw, sa lugar niya. Ngunit ngayon, na-realize niya na ang tunay pala na mayaman is yung tao na alam yung Shaar HaBitachon. Okay? Kasi yung kanyang trust or kanyang pagsalig, no, will bring him peace of mind, serenity, tranquility, and happiness. In other words, kung ikaw ay nag-aral nitong Shaar, HaBitachon, and you learn it by heart, so you will be having peace of mind, serenity and tranquility, meaning kalmado ka, and you will be happy kahit na mayroong mga bagay na hindi ka nais-nais na mangyari sa buhay mo. So actually, this happened to a good friend of Rabbi Skobach, who found himself in tremendous financial difficulty. So ang solution niya, dahil sa kanyang, what we call this, financial na problema, is i-immerse niya yung sarili niya sa pag-study ng Shaar, HaBitachon. And it worked very well sa kanya. Hindi siya masyadong magulanon sa iyahang sitwasyon sa panginabuhi or sa iyang kinabuhi. So another story that Rabbi Skobach wanted to share will be illustrating the idea that trust brings peace of mind. Okay, let me check. Excuse me muna ha. Technical. Ano ba yun? Okay, another story that Rabbi Skobach wanted to share will be illustrating the idea that trust brings peace of mind. It's about Rabbi Nissim Yagen. Rabbi Nissim Yagen was a great Torah scholar in Israel who passed away in the year 2000. That was just 23 years ago, no? So Rabbi Nissim ran a kollel. You know what's a kollel? It's an institute of higher learning where advanced Torah scholars dedicate themselves full-time to Torah study. And because they dedicate their time to Torah study in full, so they will be receiving a stipend. Yan ang murag allowance ba? But just enough to let them live. Hindi sa ingon nga kanang attractive kayo nga what you call this. And because of this, their wives usually have to work. So, ay mga sitwasyon nga kailangan pa din mo trabaho ilang asawa kay para lang masustain ang kulang sa ilahang panginabuhi. So that is sometimes the other side of Torah service, no? Sa pagkakaroon man God, we do not have so much support, no? Financial support, but we have to do this kasi nga, if not us, then who? No? If not I, then who will do this? Diba? That's what it is. Kung walay mo sakripisyo, kinsa may mo himo. So that's why this the case of the kollel, of the operator of the kollel, no? He has to do some things. So Rabbi Nisem had a nephew who visited him in his office. And that nephew was the one who told about this story. Siya nagkwento ani. So his uncle said to him that he had to pay the salaries of the scholars studying his kollel that day. Pero short siya of $23,000. Would you imagine? $23,000 times mo na sa tuwang pera. So that is times 50 plus, no? So he asked his uncle what he is going to do. So day, buhaton sa iyang uyuan, na naman ang sitwasyon. Siya ang tag-iya sa kollel dahil sa bayang ipasweldo nga short man siya sa financial. So then he said, Hashem has never let me down or disappointed in the past. And I'm sure that today will be no different. So, i-express niya iyang pagsalig kang Hashem na since the time na nagsugod siya ning iyang panerbisyo, wala siya pasagdi ni Hashem, no? So, dahil iyang ingon nga wala mo ko pasagdi, so may kalahian karon, so dili gyud mo pasagdan karon panahon na. So he said to his uncle, ina niya iyang uncle, no, si Rabbi Nisem, na even if someone na moabot nga tao o niya muhan sa imong checking na 23,000 worth, you still have to clear it. Ipa-clear pa nimo sa bangko. Bilang ka-adlaw na para na ito mapaklear ang checking?
3 days.
At least 3 days para ang funds mahimong available. So that, kailangan naman niya bayaran nga ng adlawa. Anong adlawa dyan ang mga bayaran nun? Dili. Posible nga karoon sila ang problema. So, but his uncle said, what? Unsa? Gatuo ka ba nga si Hashem dili kaya i-provide sa kuha nga cash? Isa ba ingon nga chiki ang i-provide ni Hashem sa kuha? So, yun na yan na kadako ang pagsalig ani Rabbi Nisem ng Hashem. So, on that day, he saw his uncle conducted his affairs as though everything was perfectly normal. And this really was astounding to him. No, namurag na shock si Juan, natong pamangkin, no? Imagining himself having to pay the collar's entirely or entire monthly salary, and he doesn't have money, wala siya kwarta. Yet, spending his days, or his day, that day, no, katong mga adlaw, as if wala siya problema. Isang dako lang kayo siyang bayro nun, walang kwarta, pero ang iyang approach sa katong nga adlaw, mura nagsama sa walay problema. So Rabbi Nisem went about his business with full confidence that Hashem would provide the funds that he needed. So at the end of the day, kaya nagkahapon naman, no? The nephew grew more curious kung saan yung pag-solve sa iyahang papa o iyahang uncle sa problema. So he was wondering like, what's going on here? He's running out of time and had only a few hours left in the day. Excuse. Then, nakita niya yung uncle, nisulod sa iyang opisina, and he heard him saying to Hashem, nakikistorya ka ng Hashem, yung uncle. Ingon siya nga, this is your kollel, Hashem, dili niya kuha, imo ni siya. So I do not need this for myself. Sa tinuod lang, dili na ko ni siya kinanglan para sa kong galingon. This, dili ni para sa ako, kung dili para ni sa imo. Pero man yung pag-istorya ka ng Hashem, di gawas ko siya sa iyang opisina, sa iyang kwarto. O ginglan niya yung pagmamangkon that everything is going to be okay. And at very moment, the nephew recounts na kinig-istorya man siya ang pagmamangkon. Na doon na isa ka tao na nisunod sa kwarto o nagbutang o kalibag sa lamisa. Unya diha dayon ni hawa rapod. So nitan-aw sila sa sulod sa bag, nakita nila ang 23,000 na cash. So gibuhat ni Rabbi Nisem, iya pong gibayad dayon ang maong kantidad sa mga iyang tagaanan sa kwarta. Resolba niyang problema. 2 years later, si Rabbi Nisem, niadto siya Baltimore sa US, sa Amerika, para sa iyang regular na fundraising. And he came across someone who looked familiar to him. Nasa encounter nga tao nga familiar sa iyaha. And ingon ang tao, yes, ako to. Ang katong naghatod sa kwarta sa imuhang opisina. Okay? So, ningon ang tao, explain siya that during the time he came to Israel, during the first yarsit sa iyahang papa or death anniversary. And after he visited the gravesite of his father dito sa Israel, he felt very down and depressed. Luya siya. And so he turned to his kollel or hotel, o nakatulog siya. Sa diyang nakatulog siya, his father came to him in a dream. Ibisitahan siya siyang papa na namatay sa iyang damgo. And, nautana yung papa, bakit ka natutulog? Si Rabbi Nisem nangangailangan ng 23,000. So, after that dream, nakamata siya. Then, he realized that wala siya kaila kung kinsa si Rabbi Nisem, nag-iisgot siya papa. So, he went down to the lobby of the hotel and asked around. So, it's quite amazing na he ran into a friend who had come to Israel on business. So, he told him that he had just completed a large, profitable deal and had a lot of cash that he didn't want to carry around. So, nasa yung kwarta, nag-cash nga, dako kayo. So, dili siya gusto na magdala-dala ang imong kwarta kay basi siguro og kawaton ba or what. So, ingnan niya nga sakto kayo kay kailangan po nako og cash, no? Because ingnan ko sa papa sa kong damgo nga naay angay katagaan. Alam mo nga kon, so I need 23,000. Bayaran lang ta ka kung makauli na ko sa United States. So that was the money that he brought to Rabbi Nisem. So yung anak kakusog ang bitakon or pagsalig ni Rabbi Nisem na napunta dito sa iyang pabor ang iyang panginahanglan. So dili ni siya ingon nga kanang we have some experience like this in our life. No? Naadya mga yun na mangayo ka, matagaan din ka, tungod kay nakita sa atong Hashem na kailangan dyan mo siya ang utang, no? So now, one of the reasons that Rabbi Skobach wanted to share this story is that it has a bearing on one of the issues that we're going to be dealing with over the coming months. No? Months na itong kinistoryahan in our study of the Shaar, HaBitachon. Okay? So, but what exactly is bitachon when we speak about having trust in God? So we're going to see that this is not a simple matter to define. Dili siya sayon, no? O kailangan siya months of study. So this is actually a complex issue, and there are a number of different views on how to define trust or bitachon. So we're going to examine a number of other views and learn what is the relationship between imuna and bitachon. So imuna is faith, bitachon is trust. Are they the same thing? Or are they different things? Two different things. And what's their relationship? Unsa ang relasyon sa faith of trust? Imuna and bitachon. So this is something we're going to discuss and understand. But for now, Rabbi Skobach wanted to introduce the view of Rabbi Abraham Yeshayahu Karelitz. No? So he was born in 1878 and he passed in the year 1953 in the land of Israel. So he is known as the Chazon Ish. So if you study Torah literature, you will be encountering one of the sage named Chazon Ish. But actually, his name is not Chazon Ish. His name is Rabbi Abraham Yeshayahu Karelitz. But he was called Chazon Ish because that is the title of his book. Okay? So many great rabbis are known for the name of their work than their own name. For example, the Prophet Sky, everyone knows that it's not his name, diba? Because his real name was Rabbi Israel Mir Hakohen Kagan of Radin. But he was famous sa iyahang libro nga gitawag og Prophet's Sky, which deals with the laws of speech, slander, and gossip. Otherwise, Dilasyon Hara. So Rabbi Karelitz wrote many works of Torah law that were called Chazon Ish. And he also wrote a book called Imuna Bitachon, Faith and Trust. And on the topic of bitachon, he said, there is an old misconception in the hearts of many people when it comes to the concept of trust in Hashem. The term bitachon has mistakenly become a term to describe the obligation to believe that in any situation, a person finds himself in where he faces an undecided future with two possibilities, one good and the other is not so good, that surely the good outcome will be the one to occur. So that is the misconception. Ingon si Chazon Ish. Okay? Na akatudyo daw good outcome ang mahitabo. So that is the wrong concept of trust. That if you doubt or fear that the negative will occur, you lack the trust of Hashem. Of course, not all the time ang positive na result mo mahitabo, di ba? Sometimes, negative things happen even to good people. So the Chazon Ish goes on to say that this understanding of trust is not correct. For as long as the future has not been revealed through prophecy, it is not yet decided. Who knows the judgment and rewards of Hashem? Walay nakabalo. So trusting in Hashem is the belief that nothing happens by chance. That is the word trust, bitachon. Nga walay nahitabo sa kinabuhi sa tao na nahitabo la accidentally or by chance. So that's why in bitachon, we always say that everything that occurs under the sun is a result of the decree of Shamayim. Okay? So now, based on this meaning of bitachon, the question is, was Rabbi Nissim should just assume that he would get 23,000? So si Rabbi Nisim ba daw, nag-assume ba nga maabot yun sa iyaha ang 23,000 na kinahanglan? It seemed that in the story, he was operating in the assumption that if a person really trusts in Hashem, he's gonna get what he needs. So, but, again, that is a wrong understanding of trust, according to the Kason Ish. That's not bitachon. It could be that God's will was that he wouldn't make the 23,000 that day. And as long as he simply accept the fact that whatever happens is God's will, and that is bitachon. Muna sa tinuod na trust. Okay? So sometimes we expect na tungod si Hashem ang mangitang paraan sa tuwang problema, we expect always the positive. But the true trust, the true bitachon is you say to yourself, whatever happens, kamot man ko, ibot man ako tanan, so, kung sa mga resulta ni, then si Hashem na ang may balo. So that is the true meaning of bitachon. You will accept either negative or positive. Then you say, Baruch Hashem. Okay? Because it is the will of Shemaim. So Rabbis Kobach want to share a more appropriate story. Possibly that's more in line with the view of the Kason Ish. It's a great story, and maybe it falls more in line with another view of bitachon. So this is actually a true story that happened about the disciple, estudyante ni Kason Ish. Who ran a small printing company in Binay Barak. So Binay Barak is just a few kilometers from Tel Aviv. If we have gone to Israel, we can see this one, no? So one day, someone else opened up another printing company. Naikumpetensya. So marabag nag-abri siya sari-sari store. Panasi sari-sari store, na tama-tama lang ang kita. Dahil nasa silingan, na nag-abri dayon po ng iyahang tindahan. So sabay normal nga reaksyon na to, anak. Kung anak. Kasi reaksyon na to.
Murag malain na din.
O, malaing tanong niya. Murag, hindi tayo tagparaan nga mas kuwan yun ang natuwang tindahan kaysa sa iyahano. But, lahi ang reaksyon sa estudyante ni Kason Ish. Ang iyang ihimo, ibisita pa niya itong bagong tindahan. Iyang i-welcome. So, welcome to the club. Tanda na tayo, pareha na tayong business karon. Yeah, nag-offer pa daw siya advices, how to get the business started, and offered him help. Kung kailangan kang spare parts sa imuhang makina, tutilan mo kitabangan ta ka. Pati listahan pa sa iyang mga kliyente, ipangatag niya. Ang nasuko, iyang pamilya. Ikaw niyang pamilya nga, naon sa ka? How could you do that? How could you go over and help this guy? You know, he's going to end up taking away your business. You know, he's going to end, you have not that much to share with him because you are also just earning a little. His family was really upset and they were bothered. So, ang ingon sa atong disipulo ni Kason is, ingnan niya pamilya, paminaw mo, ang Hashem nagabuot o pila ang atong kitaon sa kada tuig. Mao na siya ang paghukom niya sa panahon sa Rosh Hashanah. O pilay kitaon nimo, no? So, kaning maong bagong tao nga nagtukod og bagong tindahan niya, dili ni siya makaapekto sa kung sa i-desisyonan ni Hashem nga ako ang kitaon nga rupriga. So, yun na ang iyang panglantaw. No? So, yun siya na bisan og nay bagong tindahan niya, pero kay si Hashem man ang nagbuot og pila kang kitaon alang tuiga, bisan pila man ang katindahan niya, di ko ora din ang kitaon. Well, so we learned that Hashem decides our that is found in Tractate Beya, I think, in page 25 of the Talmud, that Hashem decides for our earnings every year. Walang usay kung masubrahan ka, mahulog-hulog yung kwarta. Usahay, matingala na lang ka, nga drive kang sakyanan, tikitan ka, lakay multa. So, those are the things. Hashem has ways beyond our imagination. As the prophet Isaiah says, no? In chapter 55 of his book, no? Siya nga, the ways of Hashem is not the ways of man. His knowledge is beyond on our grasp, no? It's like the distance of heaven and earth. Muratag mga batang gagmay, no? Have you dealt with children? One of the good examples about that is kung liguan na to ng bata, sabay reaction sa bata, liguan na to, kaning gamay bata. Muhilak, mo resist. Pero ganun liguan man yun di mo. Para sa iyahang kaayuhan. Kasabot ba ang bata? Wa. Maura po na ikaw. Nagtagaan kang mga pagsulay ni Hashem o tanaw ni mo nga kakakuan sa kinabuhi. Di po ka kasabot nga no. Pero ang tumong ni Hashem is sa tumoy anak, kaayuhan ni mo. Sama sa usa ka sanggol. No, po siya kasabot. Nga nung tagaan siya o galing kalisdanan sa iyang ginikanan. No? So there is a different stage in the progress of intellect, and the highest among it is Hashem. So wala'y tao nga kaya sa apto ng iyang kaalam. Alay pipila ka tao na iyang itugutan sama sa itong mga propeta nga mo mahimong agianan or vessel sa iyahang knowledge in order for us to understand His words. But diyan po nakutob. Dili niya pwede. Sama siya kiingon in the book of Deuteronomy. Naingon siya, the secrets is with me, and what will be revealed, I will reveal to the children of Israel. Klaro niya na siya. Okay? So, we see from this story that the trust of the disciple of the Kazon Ish was not that he would make a fortune or do great in this coming year, despite the new competition. But his view was simply that Hashem is in control. So, si Hashem ang nai-control sa tuang kinabuhi. Bisa kung saan pa nimo pagpaningkamot, gusto ka mahimong milyonaryo, kung ang gusto ni Hashem, mauna ka, dagat siyang paraan para kuhaon ang katigayunan. Sana diha ang paghatag og sakit, paghatag og katalagman, o kalantanan ng mga katigayunan, posible mawala. Okay? So what is really important is we consider that everything is in the hands of Hashem. That is HaBitachon, no? And that person that came to start the new business has no ability to interfere with God's decree. So Rabbi Nisem also was assuming that everything was going back to work out perfectly. But that's not what HaBitachon means according to the Kazon Ish. So his student, his disciple, seems to have the kind of approach to HaBitachon that his Rebbe or young teacher itudlo sa iya. Now, as we discussed last week, the gate of trust is gate number what? There are 10 gates in the classic work called Kovos Halavavot. But what is Shaar HaBitachon? The gate number? So siya nga gate? Gate number 4. Okay? So, instead of using chapter, they are using Shaar or gate. So, Shaar is different from Perek. Perek is chapter. Shaar is gate, but in their works, ginagamit nila na siya, no? As corresponding to the chapters. So Rabbi Skobach wants us to look at gates 1, 2, and 3. Gate 1 is called Shaar HaYikud. What is Shaar HaYikud? The gate of unity. Okay? In this gate, Rabbi Bakya, who is the author of our study material. Again, what is the difference between Kovos, Halabavot, and Shaar HaBitachon? What is the relationship? The main material nga ato ang gistudihan is called Kovos Halabavos. Duties of the heart. Kovos is duty. Halev, Vavos, heart. Lev. Mauna siya sa Kovos Halabavos adunay na pulo ka chapter called Shaar or gate. So, we focus ourselves in the learning of gate number 4, which is Shaar HaBitachon. Then, Rabbi Skobach wants us also to look into gates 1, 2, and 3. So, gate 1 is called what? HaYikud. Yikud is, from the word Ikhad, what is Ikhad? 1. So, Yikud is unity, meaning oneness. So, in this gate, Rabbi Bakya asserts that belief in the existence and unity of God should not be based exclusively on simple faith. Okay? It's not based simply on simple faith, but it should be supported by rational investigation. Dili lang kuno kay kutob lang ka sa faith, kung dili investigahan po nimo unsa ang imuha gituuhan. Okay? So, this is the view of Rabbi Bakya. And in the gate, he gathers proof that God created everything out of nothing. So, in this gate, no, as a summary lang man, no, kinako mo siya ng pagtulunan. So, we just summarize kasi punto ba ni Rabbi Skobach is, if we go to gate number 4, dapat expected, kabalo na punta sa gate 1, 2, and 3. Tama? Okay? So, Rabbi Bakya says that in this book that he has proven that God created everything out of nothing. So naghimo si Hashem gikan sa what do you call that? Tuhu vuhu. From empty and void. Oh, wala siya'y kumbaga source, no? Dili. Okay pa ito, connection? Okay. Sige, so padayon ta ha. So he disproves the claim or belief that the universe came into existence all by itself. So in science kasi, there is that idea na ang kalibutan is dibuho pa lang, igawas lang, no? Big Bang. Diba? So that is a wrong idea. Because you have to question also, you have to investigate. Kung na Big Bang, kasi gabuhat sa Big Bang. See? So everything has a source. So kisa ang source ni God. You cannot apply that to God because even the word source is siya ang gikanan. Okay? So, great extent what is known as the argument from design. That is a big argument of design. This is a subject matter which proves that God is really the designer of the universe. For example, someone showed you a written document and tried to convince you that it is just a resultant of ay sinulat ba na dokumento niya mingol na itong tao nga mingol na itong tao mingol itong tao ba nga kani nga dokumento nahimo ni siya pinagi sa paguyog-uyog lang sa ing kanya gibutang. So you would absolutely reject that kind of claim, no? And say that he's saying a ridiculous matter. Ginuwang iyang istorya. So therefore, Rabbi Bakya says that the universe, which is infinitely more complex than this document that's printed on a piece of paper, it's obvious that the universe has a designer and it couldn't have come about by chance. Do you agree? Oh. As Rabbi Matisyahu Solomon of Lakewood, Yeshiva, said in his commentary to the Gate of Yikud, no? Shaar Yikud. Ingon siya, the Creator is one, and this is the idea of the unity of God, that there is no power in the world besides Him, and there is no place in the world devoid of Him. So, every place in the world is covered by God. And there is nothing in the world without Him. So, tanan ni nga naa diri, gikan ni sa iya, tanan, pagawas lang ni niya. So, mura bang projector, bitaw ka ng projector? So, gikan tanan sa project, gikan tanan sa iya, naga-exist na tungod sa iya. E kung gunda nga siya o project, o wala po ni tanan, balik po tanan sa iya. Okay? These things are above the powers of our mind to grasp. Dili kaya na ito ni kanang sakuod din sa tuwang mga hunda. Okay? So, what happened to my kuan? Okay. Sige. So, the second chapter of, or the second gate of Komos Halibabos is called Shaar, HaBitachon. So, Bikina is recognition or introspection. Basically, this section deals with our obligation to recognize the kindness that Hashem bestows upon us. Ini importante din siya, no? Because you have to acknowledge that everything, tanan ng mga atong gidawat na kaayuhan, ikan nila sa iyaha. No? So, kung ikaw nagdawat o dakong kaayuhan gikan sa iyaha, so you are obliged to return this kindness in the form of service. No? Okay? So, ang tanong nito, so what does this mean in practice? Yung Shaar HaBitachon. So it is important to bear in mind that the duties of the heart is basically a work of musar. You know what's musar? Musar is a field of the Torah which deals with character development. So when we study musar, our aim is to refine our character, ma-improve ta. Kaya tanan man yun ta na ay mga character flaws. Kaya uban, sobra kasiluso, uban, sobra kamasok-anon, uban, so those things are to be corrected by learning musar. Okay? So, musar are not supposed to be read, but also to be studied and to be put into practice. Dili lang daw kay nas kabalo lang ta, dito lang put kutob, no? You should put this into our daily lives. So for example, the wife of Rabbi Skobach, Rebitzel Kashim, belongs to a Musar Ba'ad. So this Ba'ad is a woman's group na kababaihan that spends several months or even years working on a particular topic. Tagwanta kay tani, no? So yun ali ang pagtuon sa Torah. Dili kay tilaw-tilaw lang mura o tinuig. Isa man sa ginaingon sa tuwang mga sages, no? Sa tuwang magtutudlo. Mangubanan lang na ito itong kinabuhi. Sa pila katuig na itong pagpuyo sa kalibutan, dili na ito kaya pumanon ang tanan na magtulunan about sa Torah. Una, at natay chance na magtuon, kay ituon naman tali, nga mauna siya kamatuoran. So every chance we have, we should always take the opportunity. We should not take for granted. Kung natay mga magtutudlo, then we give time to attend. Because this is a rare opportunity, no, that we are given by Hashem to study His words. Okay? So, in practice, this gate teaches that we have to examine the world we're living with open eyes. Okay? Huwag inong galing abre ang mata, dili lang kay ang makita material. So, dili pati ang spiritual. Kung nasibot masabot, abre ang mata so that you can observe and appreciate everything that God has made for us. Sama sa mag-explain na ito una, ganina ang buntag, that most of the time, man or people take for granted what has God is given. Muna, ang Hashem, ginasulayan na dyan ta permit. Kung sa dyan ta ka matinudaanon sa ihakay. So ba, pagsugod pa, giyahang kita gaan o panginahanglan ng tao, no? So what did the people did? Kasi libre man, di baliwala. So that happened, no? O ganit nga na-extend taani for another thousands of years. Because the first people, though they were given all the deeds, their deeds, no? Sa ilang kinabuhi. In spite of that, they rebelled against the commander, no? They rebelled against God. He commanded na ayaw ninyong tandugan ng mga prutas. Kanilang, tanan, pwede ninyo. Buhaton, so sa pila ka libo nga klase nga prutas, pwede ninyo kaunon, pero ang usa lang ayaw. Pero ang tao, hindi nyo makontinto. Gusto nyo nga sulayan itong mga bawal. Okay? So, okay. That's the nature of man, no? Monan na Hashem, gusto dyan niya na iyang ihatag na reward pag-abot sa panahon in the future. Hindi ulang haba is paningkamutan sa tao na magkaroon siya og share. Kaya kung ilibre na po na niya, baliwala lang sa tao. Okay? So, in the gate of recognition or Shaar HaBitachon, it means that when you look at the world and you look at your life, you must recognize that it's a gift from Hashem. And by seeing this wisdom that God created and runs the world, we strengthen our faith in Him. Kung iana daw kuno atong paglantaw, then ang atuang pagsalig, mas mataas. Padung kang Hashem, no? And we reach a level where we actually know that not just that we believe that Hashem exists. Dagang kayo, isa, buto ka o Ginoo? Yes. Hindi ara po to. But to know that there's God and that He cares about us and that His kindness and compassion are with us every moment of our lives, this is a different level. Often we take so much for granted. Again, I've said that kanina. For example, one of the great sages of the past generation was someone named Rabbi Avigdor Miller. Kilala natin ito, no? He was a famous person, famous rabbi. He was considered as a walking kovos halubabos. Meaning, mura siya, tanan nga, ginatudlo dili makita di mo sa iya. But his specialty is the fourth gate. What is against the fourth gate? Sa walang fourth gate. Sa kovos halubabos.
Shaar.
Shaar what? Shaar HaBitachon. Yes.
Shaar HaBitachon.
Remember that, di mo lang natong itong antirin.
Shaar HaBitachon.
Okay? But the master no, or specialty of Rabbi Avigdor Miller is what gate? Gate number 2. What is gate number 2? Shaar HaBitachon, or the gate of recognition. So when he would look at his clothing, si Rabbi Avigdor Miller, tanaw niya yung sanina, malipayog siya nga magtanaw sa butulis o sa siper. Okay? Ingon siya dayon nga, isn't this amazing that isn't it amazing that God created a world where there are buttons and zippers that hold my clothing together and keep it on me? Yan na siya ka-appreciative ba? No? So, now, how many people think about their buttons and zippers with this kind of appreciation? This is the consciousness that Rabbi Avigdor Miller developed just by reading, studying, and putting into practice this book na itong itunan. To begin to look at everything in the world, not just nature, murag dili lang nato tanaw, murag natural lang, but even things that were created by man or human beings, and to recognize what a wonderful gift they are and not to take it for granted. Ang nitabo magod, kadalasan, no, if you have seen this, ang mga anak sa mga milyonaryo, kadalasan, maoy maglisod sa kinabuhi later on. Why? Because they take for granted ang pagtuon sa kinabuhi. Nga naman, tanan na sa ilay. Mata nila, nayaya nga magiluto, naimatod sa eskwelahan. So, ang ending, pagkawala sa ilang kinikanan, they become difficult, no? So, most of them, or some of them, dili makatiwas sa eskwela, no? Mas makatiwas pa to, may kwarta, ito naman, maningkamot man to. Kaya, kada butang na mabot siya ginabuhi, kada ma-appreciate niya. Pero, ang usa ka kwarta, tagaan ni mong baratohon, di naman na malipay. Okay? So, what is our learning here from Rabbi Megaskovak is a person who has a higher degree of recognition or bihina, he would see these all things that is a gift from Hashem. And so, when you look at the world with this kind of open eyes and carefully observe and appreciate everything that Hashem has made for us, when we see this wisdom and design in the world again, it strengthens our faith and we reach a level where we actually begin to know there's a God. Not just believe with faith that there's a God, but what we know that there is a God that cares about us, because when we see all the things that He has put into this world for our own benefit, so we see that He cares about us and that His kindness and compassion are with us every moment of our lives. So this was pointed out by to us by Rabbi Skobach, or to Rabbi Skobach by his very good friend, a close friend that is with that is known to him for 45 years. Nadidaranan yun po ni. No? And who is also a person who lives with this book. So he is another living Kubos Halubabos. Okay? Like Rabbi Abidor Miller. He's been studying this book intensely, and he told Rabbi Skobach that when you look at the very end of the Shaar HaBitachon, it says that there is a prerequisite for having trust in Hashem, and it doesn't come out of nowhere. He says that the prerequisite for trusting in Hashem is having an internalized awareness of Hashem, which is the subject of the gate of Bikina, no? Or recognition. So if we really are going to do justice to our study of the gate of trust, it is ideal to first master Shaar HaBitachon. But Rabbi Skobach says that it's not possible in terms of time, because it's going to take us long enough before we can study the Shaar HaBitachon. So what Rabbi Skobach did was to spend another session next week, which is about 80% of the contents of our lesson next week, summarizing the critical second gate, just to give us an examples of what we mean when we speak about gate of recognition. So next week, we will tackle more on gate of recognition. So again, the first gate is the idea that there is God. What is the first gate? Shaar HaYekhud. Okay? Yekhud. The idea that there's God and that God is one, but the second gate is the gate that really gets you to focus on who is God. And when you develop this idea that God is kind and God cares about us, and God has created a world where everything is for us, and He's involved with compassion with every part of our life. So you see now why this is so important in terms of bitachon. Once you have a view and understanding of God as compassionate and loving, and being involved in the world, and putting a world there for us with tremendous wisdom, now we have at least the beginnings of the idea that this is the kind of God that we can trust. So next week, we will be giving insight on Shaar HaBitachon, no? Or gate of recognition. So the third gate, usang third gate. The third gate is called Shaar Abudas Elohim. So what does it mean? In simple understanding of Hebrew. So isa na to, Shaar is what? Shaar is gate. Abuda. What is Abuda? Abuda. What is Abuda? Service.
Divine service.
You are referring to Abuda Zara. Abuda Zara is service of another God. Zara, meaning foreign God. So this is Abudas Elohim. This refers to worship or service to Hashem. So this is the gate of service to Hashem. And this chapter explains how we should respond to all of God's kindness and show our gratitude to Him by serving Him. Okay, pasunod din siya, no? First is you recognize that God is one, and next is you know about the nature of God, then next is what you will do. You will serve God. Of course, di ba? And the fourth gate is you have to trust in Him. Because you have been serving Him. So, Rabbi Bakia wrote this book, again, because he said everything else in Judaism that has been written before his work was talking about Kovos or duties of the ribs, no? Kovos Ha-Rubim. Okay? Kovos Ha-Rubim. It means in English, duties of our limbs. So there's an activity, always either speaking or doing things about the commandments. So these are duties of our limbs. No? We speak about it. We do about it using our hands, our feet. But there's no work before Shaar, before Kobo sa Lubabot. No? All was talking about how to serve God using our limbs. But he wrote this book about duties and obligations of the heart or the soul. So, what he deals with in the third chapter is the question. What is the third chapter again? Shaar, Shaar, Avodat, Elohim. So, what the question here is, what should we be obligated to do anything and serve God? Why? Why should we be obligated to do anything and serve God? So in the third chapter, he makes this point that if you didn't serve God after recognizing how much He does for you, okay? So kanina chapter, Shaar, Avodat Hashem, or Elohim, is telling us na kung after daw ma-recognize nimo, after recognition or bikina, na-recognize na nimo na si Hashem, itagaan ka niya, tanan, then, dili gyapon ka mo servisyo sa iya ha, o di ka mo hatag og panahon para mag servisyo sa iya ha, or buhat sa iya ha, gina-expect sa imo ha, then you are considered ungrateful. Oh. Okay? You are like that, no? Oh. Para sa imuha, para lang sa imuha advantage tanan. So the chapter of this book is called The Gate of Service to Hashem, Avodat Elohim. And it explains that if God is doing so much for us, we have an obligation to respond and serve Him. So next to these three gates is Shaar. Of course, after the third gate, which is sunod? Fourth gate, which is Shaar HaBitachon, which will is the focus of our study. So, next week, we will touch also about the summary of gates number 5 to 10. Okay? So, and the rest of the session giving an overview of Shaar HaBitachon. And the week after, next is we will dive right into the text of the Gate of Trust. So, that's all what I wanted to share for this afternoon. And so, natay mga kaubanan na nag-signify sa ilahang pagpaminaw. Una diri si Akot Wilma Portillo, si PL Marcelito Tigyam, tuwang prayer leader sa Malita, and si tuwang music leader ML Jonathan Fegjen. And again from Malita, member of our community in Malita, Aki Diona Benzador, and si Akot Annalyn Mutia from Los Amigos. Also, si Jeremiah Traya, the son of our prayer leader in Davao,
Very good.
El Eric Traya, and all others na wala na ko na-mention. Again, good afternoon to you all, and a wonderful day to you. So, Guru, if you have questions, you can ask questions if you want. No? Wala may pinagsanay. So, I would like also to greet a happy birthday to our prayer leader in our community in Digo City. Si PL
Marvin.
Marvin Domingo. No, yung ulit sumiyak.
Yung holiday sa Miyak, PL.
May you have more and more of the time with the Torah and more knowledge, no, to share to our community. Okay, so si Nanay Hinirosa of Malita is also watching, no, and si Aki Julito Tigyab also is watching. Okay? So, thank you Nadine sa wonderful lesson karon. Salamat, no? And also to you. May Hashem bless you also there in Malita, no? Hashem is everywhere. He is looking at us. Nagkatanaw siya nato. Kung mga ginabuhat, no? Walay ligtas sa iyahang subay o iyahang paglantaw. Okay? So, dili pa ni mao, no? This is just an introduction, actually. So, what we are really trying to teach here is that we want to develop the highest level of pagsalig as much as possible. Para kita, despite of our situation in life, no, maadunahan man, tama-tama lang, o may kakulangon, kapan padayon tang magmalipayon, padayon tang what do you call that, shalom, we have peace, no, or kalinaw, padayon tang malinawon sa atong muna-muna, sa atong kasing-kasing, ay tungod, nasayop kita nga si Hashem ang nahi-control sa tanan. No? Ang ato lang is, i-communicate nato sa iya, kung sa'y ato ang panginahanglan, siya na bahala na, kung sa'y mabot sa tuwa, base sa atong pagpaningkamot po. No? So, mao na siya ang gusto niya para sa tuwa. So, di man mahatag ang ato ang mga ginaampo. So, we need to say, dili pa siya panahon. Kaya si Hashem naman ang naglantaw, ang kaya nga mutanaw sa atong maabot. Nakita na niya, no? That's why we call it Vihuhaya, Vihuhuve, Vihuyeye. We need to say, He is the past, He is the present, and He is the future. Nakita niya na tanan. So, dili ta dapat ma-discourage kung na ay mga butang na dili nato makuha sa kinabuhi. Kaya kini na ay rason, no? Tanan butang na ay rason. That's what we studied earlier, no? That everything that happens to us, of course, naman tayo free will nga gitawag, no? Kanabang ato ang abilidad nga mopili between right and wrong, but ultimately God is still in control. Siya siyang pagyapon ang naay control sa mga mahitabo sa atong kinabuhi. So atuwa niya, i-increase na ito ang pagsalig, kung padayon kita nga mayong malipayon o malinawon. Especially in this month of Adar, no? We should double increase our singka or our joy. Okay? So, doon na pa ba yung mga gustong maibawan? Anyway, I might be going to Malita next week. No? I told BL Margarito that I will be visiting. No? I will be putting up a sort of lecture, tapos Q&A ta, pag-uman, question and answer. So I would ask kung I would desire itong mga kaubanan sa Malita, at least magatigom karong maabot nga sa Bado. No? Then, sa maabot po nga Domingo, I might be in Mati also as per request ato ang prayer leader na to si Sergeant Medina. Sige, so if there are no questions, there is a kwan. Tutuan mo, James. Ay mga pangutana.
Pamutan.
So, dili man siguro ni sila pangutanahay, no? Kay mga scholars man eh, mga bright din sila. Okay, anyway. I have nothing or no more less to say except to give a blessing sa tanang mga naminaw, no? Hinaot nga padayon kita nga mag-uban sa Torah o managhan kita sa pagtuo diha kang Hashem, no? Ang nag-inusara nga makagagahom ang mabubuhat sa kalibutan sa tanan nga naani. So again, wishing you all bibiraka, shalom, and hitraot. See you again